Let's go Dolphins! What's happening behind the scenes is far more chaotic than anyone admits. We're talking power struggles, circulating trade rumors, coaches under pressure, and even star players potentially leaving. And here's the twist. All of this could be just the beginning of a complete franchise overhaul that no one predicted, or did they? You'll want to stay tuned, because what I'm about to reveal will change your view of this team going forward. But before I reveal everything I've discovered, if you're a true Miami Dolphins fan, especially if you've remained loyal to this team despite so many disappointments, then prove it right now. Like this post, and if your heart bleeds turquoise and orange, leave this comment, "Go Dolphins! My heart bleeds aqua and orange." Now, get ready, because the real story begins here. Let's get into the bombshell that just hit South Florida. Greer has finally been fired. Or, as they're putting it to save face, it was a mutual parting of ways. We know what that means. He got canned. This move was long overdue. The man has been running this franchise into mediocrity since 2016, and fans have been begging for change. Now that it's happened, everything is on the table. And when I say everything, I mean everything. We need to talk about the futures of Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa. There's a strong narrative being floated that Mike McDaniel is being allowed to finish the season to prove he deserves to stay. Stephen Ross, in classic fashion, is meddling again. This reeks of ownership forcing McDaniel down the throat of the next GM, whoever that ends up being. It's like Ross is setting McDaniel up to say, hey, the roster was trash, blame Greer. If you can win 5 of your last 8 games, we'll keep you. That's not how you run a franchise. The new GM, possibly Champ Kelly or someone else, should have full authority to hire or fire whoever they want. Otherwise, why even bring in a new GM? Speaking of Champ Kelly, he's stepping in as interim GM. Hired back in March 2025 as a senior personnel executive, he's got experience as the interim GM in Vegas back in 2023. He's held that exact role before, so this isn't new to him. He's not clueless, but Dolphins fans, we need to keep a close eye on this guy. With the trade deadline looming in just a few days, his decisions could shape this franchise for years to come. And oh boy, the vultures are circling. The moment Greer got canned, trade rumors exploded. Teams are making calls on Jalen Waddle, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, and even Matthew Judon. Adam Schefter, Tom Pelissero, Cameron Wolfe, they all chimed in within minutes of the news. It's like the body wasn't even cold and teams were already sniffing around, looking to poach talent off a 2-7 Dolphins roster. Let's be real, a fire sale might be brewing in Miami. Should the Dolphins start flipping assets and preparing for a rebuild under a new GM? I think yes. And here's where it gets spicy. Jalen Waddle is untouchable. Trading Waddle would be catastrophic. He's 26, an elite WR1, and under contract for 3 more years. Without Tyreek Hill, he stepped up and balled out. If Champ Kelly trades him, he might be worse than Greer, and I don't say that lightly. The fan base would never forgive him. I wouldn't, but when it comes to edge rushers like Phillips, Chubb, and Judon, there's a real debate to be had. I'd keep Chubb for now due to the financials. Trading him now comes with a massive $23.8 million dead cap hit. Wait until June 2026, and it becomes way more manageable. Phillips, as much as I like him, he's a free agent next year. Is this new regime going to give him a big money extension? Probably not. Better to trade him now while his value is high. Judon, he's cooked. Plays 30% of snaps, 1-year deal. Move him and get something in return. There are also dark horse names being whispered, cornerback Rasul Douglas and safety Minkah Fitzpatrick. Douglas has been excellent, top 20 graded by PFF, but he's a rental. Trade him for a day 3 pick and let him chase a playoff run. Fitzpatrick, still elite, still valuable, could fetch a 3rd, maybe a 4th rounder. Dallas is desperate for a safety. This is the kind of deal a smart GM makes. Because here's where things start to really spiral. If Stephen Ross is already signaling to potential GM candidates that Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa are staying no matter what, then what legitimate GM is going to take this job? Imagine walking into an organization where the owner is already dictating your first 2 major decisions. That's not how a serious franchise operates. That's how we end up with exactly what we've had for the last 2 decades. Dysfunction, failed rebuilds, and 0 playoff wins. Let's talk straight. Tua is not the long-term answer. Whether it's durability concerns, performance limitations, or just the flat-out ceiling of what he offers as a quarterback, most of the league knows that Miami's going to move on eventually. The only question is when. He's virtually untradeable or unreleasable right now due to the cap implications, but everybody with a brain understands that the next head coach and GM should be able to start fresh, pick their own QB, and begin a new chapter. So why would you force a coach like McDaniel to stay just because he's worked well with Tua? That logic is outdated. That's the same line of thinking that's held this franchise back since the Marino days. And let's not forget, the relationship between Tua and McDaniel, it's deteriorating. The subtle shots, the passive-aggressive jabs in the media, they don't look like two guys who are aligned anymore. So this whole idea of forcing them to work together just because there's some perceived synergy, that's a fantasy, a front being sold to justify more of the same. Now, if the new GM comes in and genuinely evaluates everything and says, I want to keep Mike and Tua for one more year, fine. But that decision has to come from the GM, not from ownership, not from PR pressure, and certainly not because someone in the building thinks we need to salvage the Tua experiment a little longer. Whoever steps into that front office needs to have total control. Otherwise, they're not a GM, they're a puppet. And this is what makes the Champ Kelly situation so interesting. He's the interim GM, but he's also a wild card. He hasn't been with the Dolphins long, just since March 2025, and while he's got experience from Chicago and the Raiders, we don't know if he's got the long-term vision Miami needs. What we do know is this: the trade deadline is days away, and his decisions could define his future. If he's serious about making his mark and earning this job permanently, he has to show boldness. That means moving off of veterans, gaining draft capital, and setting the table for a new era. And let me say it again, trading Jalen Waddle? Absolute madness. That can't happen. No way. I don't care what offers come in. You don't trade a 26-year-old WR1 with 3 years left on his deal, especially not when he's proven he can carry the load without Tyreek Hill. Waddle is one of the few players on this roster you build around. If Champ Kelly even thinks about pulling that trigger, he might as well pack his bags the next day. It would be franchise malpractice. On the other hand, players like Matthew Judon and Jalen Phillips, that's where smart roster management comes into play. Judon isn't part of the future. He's playing limited snaps. He's aging, and he's on a 1-year deal. Move him now, get something, and give him a chance to chase a ring elsewhere. Phillips? That's tougher. The guy's talented and improving, but let's be honest, he's heading into unrestricted free agency, and the next regime isn't tied to him. If you're not planning to extend him long-term, and you can get a solid 3rd or 4th round pick, you make that deal. It's painful, but it's smart. We've also got to look at the secondary. Rasul Douglas and Minkah Fitzpatrick are both veterans with value. Douglas has been lights out, a top 20 corner by PFF, but he's not coming back next year. Flip him for a late pick and let him go help a contender. That's good business and good karma. Minkah, still one of the top safeties in the league. He could easily fetch a 3rd, maybe a 2nd in the right deal. Dallas is out there hurting at safety, and if they want to compete this season, they might be desperate enough to overpay. Again, smart front offices capitalize on that. There's no excuse to cling to players out of fear or nostalgia. This roster needs a reset, and this is the perfect moment to start it. The Dolphins are 2-7, and with Greer finally gone, there's no better time to clean house and begin building something new, something sustainable. We've been stuck in limbo for too long. This is the moment to shift gears, inject new life, and finally get this franchise back on track. But it all starts with giving the new GM full power, total control. No handcuffs, no predetermined coaching staff, no protected quarterback. Let them decide who stays, who goes, and what kind of identity this team is going to have moving forward. That's the only way we climb out of this 20-year hole we've been stuck in. If you're still watching, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to comment below with your thoughts. Should the Dolphins tear it all down? Is it time to say goodbye to McDaniel and Tua? Or do you believe this team still has hope with the current core? I've got another video up on screen now, diving deeper into potential GM candidates and how they might reshape the Dolphins. Hit that next and I'll see you there. Go Dolphins!